Long before Rowan Atkinson became a global symbol of laughter, he was simply a quiet boy growing up on a farm in County Durham, England, surrounded by open fields, routine, and unspoken expectations. Born on January 6, 1955, Rowan Sebastian Atkinson was the youngest surviving son in a family, shaped by both discipline and loss, having experienced the death of an infant brother before he was born. His parents valued education, structure, and restraint, and from the outside, his childhood appeared stable and conventional. Yet internally, Rowan was already learning how it felt to be different, to observe more than speak, and to live inside his own thoughts. The environment was calm, but the emotional space he occupied was complicated, defined not by noise, but by silence and careful self-awareness. Learning to speak in a world that didn't wait at a very young age, Rowan developed a pronounced stutter, something that quietly but profoundly shaped his early life. Speaking became an effort rather than a reflex, and everyday interactions, answering questions in class, reading aloud, or even introducing himself, required courage most children never have to summon. School, which should have been a place of growth, often became a space of anxiety. Other children noticed his difficulty, and like many young people who don't yet understand difference, some responded with teasing or exclusion. Rowan did not become bitter, but he became inward. He learned to listen carefully, to think deeply before speaking, and to anticipate reactions. This early struggle did not break him, but it trained him to be observant, patient, and emotionally precise in ways that would later become essential to his art. The unexpected freedom of performance. Something remarkable happened whenever Rowan stepped into a performance setting. While everyday speech was difficult, speaking as a character felt different, almost effortless. On stage, the pressure lifted, and the fear of interruption or judgment faded into the background. Acting allowed him to step outside himself, and in doing so, he discovered a freedom he had never known. It wasn't that the stutter vanished entirely, but it lost its power. Performance became a place where control replaced anxiety, where timing mattered more than fluency, and where silence could be just as expressive as words. Without realizing it, Rowan had found a way to communicate that bypassed his greatest obstacle, turning performance into a kind of emotional shelter. Excellence in the classroom, questions in the mind. Despite social challenges, Rowan excelled academically, particularly in mathematics and science. His intelligence was undeniable, and his path seemed clearly defined to those around him. He attended Newcastle University to study electrical and electronic engineering, graduating in 1975, and later continued his studies at Oxford. On paper, his future appeared practical and secure, pointing toward research or industry rather than entertainment. Comedy was not an obvious or encouraged ambition, especially for someone who struggled with speech. Yet beneath the equations and academic success, the desire to perform never disappeared. It waited quietly, like a second voice that spoke not through words, but through instinct. Oxford and the discovery of a new language. At Oxford, Rowan entered a world where intellect and creativity could exist side by side. He joined the Drama Society and student review groups, where his unusual style immediately stood out. On stage, he transformed, becoming precise, animated, and fearless. It was here that he met writer Richard Curtis, a creative partnership that would shape British comedy for decades. Rowan's performances relied less on verbal cleverness and more on physicality, timing, and facial expression. He studied movement the way others studied dialogue, approaching comedy almost like engineering, carefully constructed, exact, and deliberate. This was not an escape from his limitations, but a redefinition of them. Building comedy from silence. What truly distinguished Rowan was his deep understanding of physical comedy. Inspired by silent-era performers like Buster Keaton and Jacques Tati, he recognized that humor did not require constant speech. A pause, a glance, or a carefully timed reaction could communicate more than dialogue ever could. This approach wasn't just stylistic, it was protective. By allowing his body and expressions to carry the performance, Rowan reduced the vulnerability he felt with speech. Over time, this became his signature, transforming what many might have seen as a disadvantage into a creative strength that set him apart from his peers. early success and lingering uncertainty. Rowan's early appearances at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe brought mixed reactions. Some audiences were unsure what to make of his unconventional style, while others sensed originality and discipline beneath the oddness. Opportunities came slowly and rejection was frequent, as television executives struggled to categorize him, unsure how to use a performer who didn't fit traditional formats. Auditions were particularly difficult, often reawakening the anxieties he had worked so hard to manage. For a time, Rowan questioned whether comedy was sustainable or whether his academic background might offer a safer, quieter life. But something deeper kept him going, the knowledge that performance allowed him to exist more fully than anything else ever had. Finding safety inside characters. One of Rowan's most important realizations was that characters gave him armor. When he spoke as himself, self-consciousness returned. But when he became someone else, confidence followed. Characters allowed him to speak without fear, to move without hesitation, and to express emotion without restraint. This understanding reshaped his career. Rather than trying to eliminate his anxieties, he designed performances around them. His characters were not disguises, but extensions, carefully crafted spaces where he could operate freely. This approach laid the groundwork for everything that followed. A breakthrough that changed everything. Rowan's first major breakthrough came with a sketch show that initially confused audiences and critics alike. Early reactions were uncertain, and the show's future was far from guaranteed. Yet a second series was commissioned, and gradually, appreciation grew. One particular performance, delivered with theatrical intensity and emotional commitment, revealed Rowan's willingness to take risks others avoided. His comedy was not casual, it demanded attention. Over time, the show became a landmark in British television, redefining satire and establishing Rowan as a fearless and original performer. Reinvention through collaboration rather than repeating himself, Rowan moved on to new creative challenges, co-creating a historical sitcom that allowed him to explore different rhythms of comedy. The project faced early difficulties, but instead of abandoning it, the team restructured and refined their approach. The result was a transformed series that blended sharp writing with character-driven humor, eventually becoming one of the most celebrated comedies in British television. The experience was collaborative and supportive, offering Rowan a sense of shared purpose that balanced the intensity of his earlier work. When comedy met reflection. The final installment of that series took a surprising turn, combining humor with a quiet, reflective ending that resonated deeply with audiences. It demonstrated that comedy could coexist with seriousness, and that laughter did not have to erase meaning. For Rowan, this project represented growth, not just as a performer, but as a storyteller willing to acknowledge complexity. The creation of a global character. In 1990, Rowan introduced the world to a character who spoke very little, but said everything through action. This nearly silent figure became instantly recognizable across cultures, transcending language and borders. The irony was unmistakable. The man who once struggled to speak had created one of the most universally understood characters in entertainment history. The success was immense, but it came at a cost, requiring extreme precision, physical endurance, and emotional control. Choosing balance over excess. As the years passed, Rowan became increasingly selective, choosing sustainability over constant exposure. Animated adaptations and occasional appearances allowed him to continue the character without the same physical demands. His focus shifted toward balance, protecting his health, his privacy, and his sense of self. A life beyond the screen. Outside of performance, Rowan maintained a largely private life, raising children and avoiding unnecessary attention. He has also shown courage and conviction in public life, speaking thoughtfully on issues of expression and responsibility, and demonstrating calm leadership in moments that required it. These actions revealed a man of depth, far removed from the exaggerated figures he portrayed. Living with doubt, moving with grace. Despite immense success, Rowan has often spoken about self-doubt, describing himself as reflective and self-critical. These feelings never fully disappeared, but they no longer defined him. Instead, They kept him grounded, reminding him that growth does not end with achievement. A legacy of quiet strength. As Rowan Atkinson enters the later chapters of his life, his legacy feels less about fame and more about transformation. He did not eliminate his struggles. He learned to live alongside them. Through creativity, discipline, and resilience, he turned silence into laughter and uncertainty into connection. His journey is not one of perfection, but of adaptation, and that may be its greatest achievement.